Hello and welcome back. It is Thursday, which I can't believe it's been a while since I've said this. It's New Star Trek Day. Yes, today we see the start of the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 5, Episode 1, uh, Dos Cerritos. And yeah, it's sad that this is the final season of Lower Decks because it's such a great show, and Paramount is constantly canceling Star Trek shows that are beloved. Discovery being one of them. Now Lower Decks. So what did I think of this episode? I thought it was good. It was good. I definitely got a good few laughs out of this. But we're picking up right where we last left off, which was Tendi, obviously leaving the Cerritos to go back to being the mistress of the Winter Storm or Winter Star, whichever one that is. And so we obviously have an A and a B plot. The B plot centers around Tendi, as she's being a pirate to try and pay back her sister De Erica to be able to return to the Cerritos, and she gets told that if she goes and tracks down this really old, what they assume to be a Orion warship, that she'll consider the debt paid off, and she can, Tendi can finally go back to the Cerritos. And as she's going through all that stuff, as we get there, turns out that the person who sold the Erica the coordinates, the archaeologist, also sold it to people that are interesting, and that is Blue Orions. So I I remember seeing them in the trailer for the final season. I was like, Blue Orions, who haven't been seen since the Star Trek the Animated Series. This is a deep cut. This is a big deep cut because, as you know, in case you haven't watched that episode of Star Trek the Animated Series, which thankfully I did at the beginning of this year when I reviewed it, that in the animated series, the Orions were blue and they kept going by Orions, which does, keep up with this. They do refer to themselves as Blue Orions, which I love. Having that prior knowledge to that episode made me enjoy that bit more. So they're obviously trying to take over the ship as well. Tendi, throughout all of her pirating with her crew, is trying really hard not to murder anyone, try to stay away from that side of pirating. Um, and even to the point where when one of her crew stabs one of the Blue Orions, Tendi quickly goes over and heals him. And it's after the map to the bridge gets stolen that they discover that what they're on isn't actually a warship. It's a medical ship, and so they use some laughing gas in order to disable the Blue Orions without having to kill them, and eventually they take this ship back to Orion, and according to Erica now, that is Tendy's debt paid off. I'm going to put a pin in that as we go to the A plot, which is on the Cerritos, as they accidentally headed into a alternate timeline where Captain Becky Mariner is, as I said, the captain, and it's a whole different ball game of you know different things. Captain Freeman isn't really there, and so both Cerritos, the alternate universe and R1, and it's interesting how they portray this different universe Cerritos crew, because mainly just the uniforms, they're just that tiny little bit darker than the bright uniforms that we are used to on the Cerritos. And the main the plot, the A plot does kind of center around Mariner in a bit, because she has been told that she's going to have some ensigns to look after, and she's not all that too excited about that because she'd rather just stay the her go again regress back to the way she was in the first season, where flipping off her superiors, nearly being thrown into the brig several times a day. That type of mariner. She wants to go back to that. She's scared. She's scared of that bit of command and having these ensigns under her. And so we do see that play out with her captain counterpart, who is really stuck up. Rules with an iron fist, has the entire crew afraid of her. We learn that most of the space on the this version of the Cerritos is basically um, you know just full of brigs because she just keeps putting people into the brig. We do see a different Brad Boimler, who has a Riker's looking beard, who is still a lieutenant, hasn't been promoted to, well, lieutenant, lieutenant has been promoted to like full lieutenant or even lieutenant commander, that type of way. He's just still regular old lieutenant. We also see, um, one interesting thing though, with Billups, the chief engineer, or Emperor Billups, as we learn. I think it's Emperor. I watched this like an hour ago. I've been busy doing other things, but so I've forgotten. But it's basically means it's a callback to a previous episode where King Billups. That's it, not Emperor. King Billups, where Billups was almost made king if he were to actually, do the nasty. And so in our universe, that didn't happen because potentially Billups is asexual. The only thing Billups seems interested in is the engineering, the warp core of the Cerritos, more than any other relations like that. But in this version, this alternate timeline, Billups did go through with that, and he is now King Billups. We do see Rutherford, who is nearly a Borg at this point, which does get pointed out because because their Tendi did go leave and become a Orion pirate, just like our one did. Rutherford was so upset that he deleted every memory of Tendi altogether, and then started to get add on some new mechanical components. He's even gotten rid of all of his guts and internal organs, so he's able to survive in the vacuum of space. So some more shenanigans happen, and just when they're, our Cerritos is about to leave, um, this alternate universe Mariner shoots our Mariner to then go back onto that Cerritos too, so that way she can't doesn't have to be captain anymore. And then of course they eventually figure it out and they get swapped back over. And then it's turned out that the reason why we haven't seen our Captain Freeman is because apparently she's done something so heinous to end her up on Starbase 80, which has, been a running gag that we did see briefly in one of the episodes, I believe. And not only that, one of the episode titles is going to be called Starbase 80. So there's that part of it there. And so yeah, they eventually make it back. And then, so picking back up with the plot line B, just before Tendi gets to leave and go back to the Cerritos, it turns out that the Blue Orions have declared war on the Green Orions. And instead of Tendi going back, she decides to stay and help fight during the war. And the episode ends. So it's a good episode. It definitely reminded me, the with the Cerritos plot. It definitely reminded me of episodes like Yesterday's Enterprise. When the Enterprise C comes forward into the prime timeline, and it's also funny that they keep making reference to. They do make reference to the prime timeline. The alternate Cerritos is like, but we're the prime timeline. You're the alternate timeline, or you're the bad version. All that stuff. And I enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed seeing alternate versions. Especially loved Shax's. We do see a scene of both Shaqs arm wrestling each other, and he's like, our Shaq is like, "Oh, you're so strong," and the other Shaq is like, "Yeah, I got strong because I kept strangling Cardassians," and he's like, "Me too," and I just love that because if there's one person who would definitely be Shax's bestest of bestest friends, it would be another Shax, as they recounted tales of strangling Cardassians during the Cardassian occupation of Bajor. I definitely like the Tendi plot. You know, seeing that she's not fully going back to the way the stereotypical Orion pirates are of killing. They just rather take and leave people alive. Especially when we do see one of the blue Orions get stabbed, she then still goes and performs her medical procedure, and then we also get a bit of development with her crew, where it turns out that they actually don't want to be the pirate business. One of them wants to be a philosophy teacher. One of them loves to bake, and the other one loves to dance. And so it's very nice to see that again what Lower Decks is setting up is that not all Orions have to be pirates or you know all the other stereotypes that we have with Orions, and I do love that. So episode 2 is already out for because we got a double bill again, which I kind of don't like when shows do that, because that means we're getting one less week of the show. So my review for episode 2 will be out later on today. Going to give this video enough time to breathe. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I shall catch you all later on today for my review of episode 2 of season 5 of Lower Decks. I'll catch you all on the next upload.